Ciao guys, welcome back to the ARTFUL podcast. It's Matteo, your host. If you're new to this channel, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment down below. Let's grow this art community together. And no further ado, let's go on with a new episode. How's it going?
Yeah, it's going great. It's a good day. I just closed from church. So
Nice.
my church is actually closer to my studio as my house also. My house also just at the corner. So
Good.
my studio is kind of in between both church and um and my home.
So in case you have the church just next to the corner, just in case.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're in a
So
house,
so
in the
so
studio, doesn't matter.
exactly. So most of the time I spend a lot of time here in the studio because both my house and my church is just close by. It's
Just
just easy
close.
to yeah,
Mm,
yeah,
nice.
yeah.
Is that so? Are you in the studio? That's where you're working usually, yeah?
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm in the studio, yeah. I'm almost here like four times in a week.
Okay,
And
nice.
yeah, four times in a week. And on Mondays, I actually do administration on Mondays. So Mondays, I just stay home and just do send emails and receive emails and all that.
Mm. It's like
Yeah,
the
do some little
office
research.
part of the job.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. It's
Yeah,
it's kind of a pain in it, but you have to do it.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. One thing about my name that a lot of people get confused about, my actual name is Lord Ochobo. That is
Okay.
my father's name. Yeah, my father is Lord Ochobo, my late father actually, and he was an artist. So he passed on at a very younger age. So he was named after me. And my mom now got married to another man who is Ohinukuma. So Ohinukuma is my name, like
Mm.
my kind of how do I say passport name because I bear
Yeah.
my stepfather's surname. So Ohinukuma is on my passport, like all my documents, but my actual name, birth name is Lord Ochobo.
Mm.
So in terms to just give respect and homage to both parents, both fathers, I just add both surnames as my art name. So my art name is Lord Ohene Ochobo. Ohene, that's my stepfather's name, and Ochobo, that's my real father's name.
OHENE LORD. Okay. I like it.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice. That's a lovely story. That's an amazing story.
Yeah.
So, guys, welcome back to the ARTFUL podcast. For this episode, we have a fantastic painter. I'm really excited to talk to you about your paintings and your portrait. Passion of mine is portraiture. That's what I do. And when I have a guest that does a portrait, it's always for me super fun for me to explore a different way of doing portraiture. So, Hoine Lord, how are you today? You good?
Yeah, I'm doing very good. Thank you. And how are
Fantastic.
you?
I'm good. Great. So for
Great.
people that might don't know you, just a little introduction, where you're from, like studies, and yeah, and then we can go from
Okay.
there.
Okay, great. My name is Lord Ohene Kuma, or you can call me Lord Ochobo or Ohene Lord. That's my in quotes artist name. Yeah, I was born and raised in Ghana. I was actually born in Kumasi, in the Ashanti region in Ghana, and I was raised in Accra. That's where I grew up, and I'm I'm a third born of two ladies,
Hmm,
which I happen to be the last born, and I'm currently now living and working in the Netherlands. Yeah.
fantastic. When did you move to the Netherlands?
Yeah, I moved to the Netherlands 2015. I was actually a filmmaker. You know, I've had whilst we are having a conversation, I will say a lot of my journey as an artist. So I've had different tastes of art.
Hmm,
So I'm not only a painter, I do other stuff. Like I've done filmmaking. Actually, filmmaking brought me to Europe, and I've worked with some great production houses in Ghana, in Africa, and also here
fantastic.
in Europe. Yeah. So I'm not only a painter, but I'm an artist. I will say I'm multidisciplinary artist. But for now, I'll say I'm a painter
No,
because
yeah, we can
I'm still.
explore that
We
side
can
as well
explore more.
because
Yeah, we can
yeah,
explore more.
why
Yeah.
not? That sounds great. So
Yeah.
what that did it brought you to art in general? Like what was your first approach and why did you decide to do art and become an artist?
Okay, that's a good one. My dad, my late dad was an artist. It's unfortunate he passed on at a very younger age.
Mm,
So when I grew up, I think when I was 11, 12 years, I discovered I love art. I want to do art. So I've been doing this petty, collages and painting here and there, doing drawings on walls, and mostly in schools. In primary school we have like subjects that we don't, in Africa, those days it was a little bit difficult to have screens to show you certain parts of like how like science. Let's for instance, like science, we have the eye, we have the nose, like
mm,
name, label the part of the heart, label the part, those areas. I was the one who they normally call to draw at that age. So I discovered that this is what I wanted to do. But whilst times was going on, like when I was about to finish my junior high school,
mm,
I wanted to be an architect because I also find that I'm very, very technical, like constructing and building and all that. So I was a little bit confused when I completed my junior high school, whether to be an architect or to be really a painter. So my mom now sat me down and told me everything about my dad. So I now knew where this artistic,
it was inside
influence and
somewhere, yeah.
interest, it was coming. Yeah, I know where it was coming from. So I saw a portrait of my dad. He did a self-portrait of himself at that time, and he had other portraits. So when I saw it, I was really inspired to, be an artist. But when I moved into art school, which I went to Ghana College of Art and Design. So I went to art school. We have like I did 3 years course. So the first year and the second year, you have to do all the subjects, portraiture, landscape,
Mm,
still life, graphics, anatomy, structure, like all the arts topics. We're doing all of them. But when you get to your third year, you have to choose one particular subject that you want to master on. So I actually took abstract painting, which was one of my interests because of the architecture scene that was, in my mind. I like to, construct and, try to create something that does not exist. So I did abstract actually like for my final year.
mm,
But after I completed the Ghana College of Arts, it was very difficult to sell paintings. I did a little bit of portraiture and all that, but it was very difficult to sell paintings at that time. To sell for a painting for even, let's say, 50 euros or maybe 10 euros was very difficult. So, but actually that actually helped me to pay some of my fees because I was taking care of myself at that time. That's another story. But I took care I took care of that for like just to sell small paintings. That was not much, but it was helping to buy colors and all that
nice.
during school time. So I now move into filmmaking, which I got in contact with one person called Prince Hilton. He's a very good artist, cinematic artist. Like he does more of
Mm,
set designing, and filmmaking. He does documentaries, like TV setup. Like he's really a scenic painter. Let me put it that way, a scenic painter. So I get in contact with him, and I was working with him for some time. He had a small college, I would say, kind of a school, just gets people from the neighborhood who are skillful and talented to
mm.
train. So I got in contact with him, and I mean, I learned a lot from him, and that also got my interest into filmmaking and scenic painting and all that, creating props for movies.
And now
So
you're
I did.
starting this new
Yeah,
path.
exactly. So I did like for 2 years after my school, I did set designing in movies and theater setup and all that. I was doing like creating props, trying
Mm.
to improvise and get certain things on the set for us to shoot a film. I was doing all those things. So that actually helped me to also discover another part of art because that's also art. So when I moved into Netherlands, I was now contemplating on which area I should do because I was getting more interest in this filmmaking, props making stuff. But I felt like, I want to really, because I'm inspired by my dad's painting, so I felt like I have to go back to the drawing board, get paints and color. So it was a small bedroom that I was using for my studio, my same bedroom. That's where I was painting, drawing, doing everything. So it was getting more interesting at that time. That was 2000 and 2015. It was getting interesting. 2016, I was getting some good gigs. Like I was also doing live painting, speed painting. 7 minutes, 10 minutes, I'm done. So people now got to know me in the Netherlands, get recognition. So I was doing that. So I now realized that at this time I have to really take because I was getting more interest. I was only doing arts and I was doing it full time. So I felt like I should just put everything in it. I shouldn't do anything outside so that I can master my craft. So I took art very, very serious between 2015 2017. That's where I started doing portraitures. And the reason why I did portraiture, I wasn't a portrait painter, but the reason why I got to one thing that influenced my portrait painter is the filmmaking that I made. Because sometimes they give me scripts to read to understand the movie and everything. So you will see different people and they are trying to create a scene that's not their life. So that's really intrigued me to do portraiture. Like, come on, this person, this not how when he's in front of camera, he's a different person. When he's off camera, he's a different person. So that intrigued me to do portraiture. And one interesting thing is when you meet anyone and they ask you, what do? You tell them, I'm an artist. Can you paint me? Sorry about that. Yeah,
That's okay.
sorry
No, it's
about
okay.
that. Yeah. The next question is, can you paint me? So all these things was, calling me to just do portraiture, so I started now rehearsing and practicing what I was taught in school. Start doing the nose, the eye, the ear, trying to go back to my sketches, trying to polish the rusty scales and all that. So that actually got me into portraiture painting. So I started making this. I also do photography as well. So I started calling like friends, friends and relatives around here in the Netherlands, and I was making portraiture of them like with my camera. Then I now start to do the. So my first portraiture works I was doing was really realistic. It was very, very realistic. I was doing more realistic paintings, and it was taking me too much time to finish one painting because I wanted to get it perfectly. I want everything to be just as the picture.
Yeah,
But as
I
time
know the
as time
feeling.
goes
Yeah.
on, yeah, as time goes on, when I was really getting more into portraiture, I felt like art shouldn't be. Actually, I was listening to podcasts and also art talks of some great artists, in the United States and also the masters in Italy, Paris and all that. I was just listening to all these art talks. So I came to realize that art should art should be like you should have that kind of freedom to express yourself in art. Art shouldn't be you don't have to restrict yourself or the person, even though that's a process of finding your way or finding your style.
Yeah.
But I feel like you should be free. Like for now, the style that I am working on now, I'm more free. So anytime I come, I know what I'm doing. I get that freedom of expressing
But
myself.
do you think that you got that freedom, the kind of freedom that you have right now? It's because you had to learn a skill almost to perfection, and then you had to break down all these rules, and now you can play and become more freedom and use your freedom to create a different style and not basically replicate the portrait that you have in front of you. Do you think it's because of that? That was your process to get to where you are now?
Yes, 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 I think so. Because in school they taught us the basic of portraiture, how to paint portraiture, and the basic the popular color scheme, that is the browns, the yellow ochres, and
Yeah,
those kind of eclipse colors to get the texture of
the
of
complexity.
the
Yeah.
face, the complexity exactly. So that's what every artist started from, because what you are taught in school, that's what you start from, and whilst you are growing, you now discover new things, and you try to free yourself from that that trend of how you were taught from school.
Yeah.
So whilst I was growing up, I was just trying to find my way and trying to find freedom, because I'm a kind of person, like even in my life, not only for art, even in my life, I like to find a freedom. Like I want to have that free space, because growing up was a very challenge. Like I had some challenges whilst I was growing up, being on the street and all that. So I feel like this is a time I have to, get that freedom, the freedom that I didn't get in my youth age. this is a time I have to get it through art and also through my my living and through arts as well. So
That's beautiful.
this style that I've developed is also talks about migration, you know, and how those like people from African descent who were born in Europe or in other parts of the world, trying to find their roots and trying to get to their destination and also find where they are coming from. So the lines that you see on the faces is like a map. It's like a contour map. It's not just lines that I'm just trying to make something. It's like a contour.
I was
So
gonna actually
when
ask about I was gonna ask about that because when I obviously you see your page, your Instagram page or your
yeah,
website, it's the first thing that you notice in these portraits, these like lines, the irregular lines that they go all over the body, and they don't
yeah.
go all over like on your clothes on the background. It's only on the skin, and I noticed that, and I wanted to obviously ask you about that, and that's pretty interesting. What you're saying.
Mm.
If you want to carry on explaining that.
Yeah. So as I said, the art that I make is one thing that I'm very, very interested about and I'm very, very comfortable about my style and technique is the story that is behind it, and not just only the story, it's also um, it also relate to me, you know,
Mm,
how I grew up and you know how I got to where I am today. You know, it's more like, and people that I've come in contact with, it's more like, you know, they give like you were born in Europe, you were an African, okay, African descent, and you were born in Europe, and there are certain things that you don't know from where you are coming from.
mm,
So those lines is kind of a trace. It's kind of a trace of where you were born or where your root is. So you need to go back to. So it's like a map. You need to find that trace,
mm. Yeah,
and the only way to express that is through the face, because the face projects our emotions, our feelings, and everything.
yeah.
So I am more interested in this kind of, you know, mapping and also migration from where we are all coming from and where we want to head towards, and also trying to look back to where we are. Because I meet most Africans, and they cannot even speak their local dialect. Like it's very
Mm,
difficult for them to speak it because they were born and raised there. So indirectly they are like, you know, they are Europeans. Let me put it that way.
yeah, 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 yeah.
You see, because they don't like when you are communicating with them, it's like they don't even know. They know, but it's like they're finding it difficult to find that way. And also their parents, most of them, their parents are like, yeah, their parents doesn't really want to force them because they like to know, but their parents doesn't want to force them, even though their parents try, but they don't want to
Mm,
force them to, you know, do
to
this and do
learn.
that. Because here
Yeah,
they've given them that freedom. But in Africa, where I grew up, you don't get that freedom. There are certain things you have to learn. Like our parents were, me for instance, my parents were straight on me to learn certain things. You know, like most especially the local languages, how to cook your local meals. You know,
mm,
there are some petty things that you have to know, like, you know from where
yeah,
you are coming from.
yeah.
So
And
those things interest me a lot.
yeah, I can imagine like
So
these people that you're portraying that they kind of don't really feel. Most of them probably they don't really feel they are from anywhere there because they are they are not from here, but they are no originally they have no connection with the original land, and it's that
yeah,
kind of state like you're in the middle and
exa-
you
e-
don't really
exactly,
feel. Yeah,
exactly,
you
right,
don't really feel
right.
from anywhere.
And even when they go back home, those home, like their brothers home or their people home, see them as in quote white because they feel like, okay, you have a dark complexion, but you are not from here.
It's not only
Mostly
about
people,
that. Yeah,
yes, that's how they see them.
yeah,
You see, and they feel there are some people that I talk to and they feel left out when they go home and they see the people saying talking their local dialect and they cannot communicate or relate to them. Like they feel kind of left out. Like it's like I'm from here, but I'm not from here.
yeah.
You feel me?
I know.
So
I can understand a little the feeling like, because I live
yeah,
that kind of indirectly. So my fiance it's from Zambia, and
yeah,
so she grew up in Zambia and everything, but she left when she was 13 to the UK where we actually met. So
yeah.
we spent a month. We went to Zambia 2 years ago, and we spent there a month. And she can speak the language, but because
Hmm.
obviously many years now she doesn't really practice every day the Bemba,
Right.
the local dialect. Um, she has like a broken dialect
Yeah.
mixed like with
Yeah.
English. So
Yeah.
and they sometimes I saw the family making fun of their obviously
Exactly.
joking of the thing that she had to speak some English to cover the language.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I know what you mean. It's
Yeah.
you can
Even
find
with
yourself.
my yeah, even with my girlfriend is the same. She's Ghanaian, but she was born and raised in the UK.
Mm,
So we all speak English to each other. So
yeah, yeah.
sometimes it gets a little bit, irritated, like, come on, let's speak something that we, but she doesn't understand anything.
Mm,
So it's really difficult. And the thing is, I find myself in those situations. What I am portraying, the art that I'm portraying, I find myself in that situation. So it gives me more inspiration, more insight to
mm,
really try to tell. So people that I normally paint are people that I know personally, or people that I've come across on the internet who may like invoke a past relation, or who looks like someone that I know, like who have that kind of familiar face. But like I
mm,
said, I've lived on the street a little bit, so there are some faces that, like, when I see someone, I feel like I know the person. Maybe he has a resemblance of someone. So those are the people, those are my target. Not really my target, but those are people I'm interested to paint. And I'm also trying to get people also from, not only from Africa, people from the South Americans and all
mm.
those, like, I'm trying to dig into those places to find models to paint. So I try to have like how we are having conversation. I try to have conversation with them, be friends with them, so that it's more practical, not just painting for painting sake.
You need to
Because if
have
you
that
get that connection,
connection. Yeah.
right, right,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's really similar to my situation. I do portrait and I do a lot of like immigration and refugees,
yeah,
and a vital part of what I do it's the interview when I talk to them, and I need to know their story. I need to get the connection for me to be able to do the portrait, because if I can technically just do the portrait without
yeah,
have to do the interview because I have the skills for
mhm,
it, but it's not only
yeah.
about that. I wanna kind of
I want to
express
have
their
connection,
story. Yeah,
right?
I wanna have the
Mm,
connection to put it on canvas, on paper, and just tell their story through my portrait. So I
yeah,
completely understand. And it's I don't know. It's such a weird feeling because it can get heavy. It can get quite intense because you have to absorb of all these stories, which sometimes they're not
yeah,
the best stories. Sometimes they are, but
hmm,
it depends really. It's just
yeah,
it's
yeah,
really hard, like it's on as an artist to take all this information, and you have to kind
mm,
of live with that, and
yeah,
then you release through your art, which is beautiful. One thing I wanted to ask you, and I think it's beautiful, and I have that as well. It's you don't do only one thing, and which is great, I think, because then it gives you a different way, different point of view. You do
yeah,
photography, you work like in a cinema field,
yeah,
you do portrait, painting, drawings. So, um, is it your personality that's you in a like even not in art, or as an artist you are super interesting in everything, and because I'm during I do that in as an artist, but I'm not like that in
okay,
like
mm,
in life. So is
hmm,
that the same for you, or are you a
yeah,
curious, basically curious person that you want to explore everything?
yeah. I like to. I'm a kind of person I like to explore a lot.
Mm,
I'm that person that's, when assuming when there's example, when there's a television like this flat screens, I'm trying to imagine what is in that television, like how is the process like for that thing to come to life. Like I want to dig deep into
mm,
certain things, but as I said, sometimes there's a little bit of blockage to explore. Like, I want to explore more in art, but I don't get the opportunities and the materials that I need. So I was even thinking to even go back to Ghana to, maybe to live, or going forth and back to do what I
mm,
really like. There are certain practice that I'm very practical. Like, that's me. Like, I like to explore. So in terms of art, I don't see myself doing one thing, even though I have now more interest in portraiture. which I like doing it more often every day, everywhere. But I have interest in other things. I also do music as well. I play drums in church, and I also help coordinate the instrumentalists as well. So I have a lot of interest, which I don't want to stick to only painting. I want to have a bit of everything in my life.
That's
Because
great.
that's where I find myself. That's where I get happiness. That's where I have interest. That's where I get my interest of, like, doing this kind of thing. So even though painting or portraiture is something that I have mastered on, but I like to do other things so that I don't um do only portraiture and I stick to it. It's good to we have a proverb in our local dialect, like "Ojun sogu fa akwa, ne pu ohuro." That means if you urinate on one particular place, there comes a foam. The place starts foaming. That means you have target on one place. But if you're urinating everywhere, you don't get that particular point that you want to focus on. It's just a proverb that we say in Africa for us to understand that if you stick to one thing and if you put your interest in one thing, it will develop and it will come, it will blossom.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is a situation whereby I found myself doing portraiture, but I have other interests. So the other interest that I don't do it because I want to do it for money. I do it because I want to do it for myself. So if you come to my studio, I have different techniques, different styles that I've made that I've not even posted on Instagram or put anywhere. But I do it for myself because I like it. Like this painting behind me, I did it. It doesn't relate to the story or the technique that I do on Instagram, but it's something that when I was doing it, just came, and I like to do different things for myself, for me as an
That's
artist,
beautiful. Yeah,
to
that's
see
beautiful.
it and enjoy it. But for people to know my style, and when they see my work, this is Lord, then I have to now stick to that because that's the story, that's the genuine story and genuine style of me. But I have other interests which I love to do it for myself.
And
But if someone walks into my
why do you
studio,
think sorry to interrupt you, why do you think that between all this interest that you have, all this artistic outlet that you have, why do you think portraiture is the one that you have to do, you sticks with you like all this time?
yeah, we are humans, and humans are the most important creatures on earth. Okay. And we meet humans every day. We meet different people every day. And the most important thing about human is our face. How when someone is angry, you see it from their face. You don't see it from their hands. You don't see it from their legs. You see it from their face. When they are happy, you see it from their face. When they are upset, you see it from their face, from their eyes. So facial, for me, I feel like the reason why portraiture actually existed, that's my own research that I've made for myself. The way portraiture came about is just for us to see how people react, their mood, how they relate to things. How, like, cause
Yeah.
there's some portraiture when you see it, you see like this portrait really relate to something, even though it is that person. Because I can have a model, like maybe I'm painting a model, but I will change the background and I'll change the environment of that model in my painting, and it will turn to a different thing. It will turn to a different story. So in that context, I'm trying to imagine that model or that person in a different state. Maybe that person is a kind of person who is always sad. I'm trying to bring that person into a happy environment. So I'm now recreating that, it's the same person, but I'm now recreating the person into a different state. So these are the little things that interest me to do portraiture, like how you can, get that person's face, like feeling and all those things. It's really intrigued me. That's why I even want to master the portraiture and figuration more than the abstract. Abstract is nice. It makes you think. It's, drags your mind to us. But portraiture figuration gives you the intensity of that person, who that person is, and the states, the mind, how they are feeling. Because we think about each other as humans. We think about each other. We respect our feelings. When someone is sad, we know how to comfort them. It's all through portraiture. Yeah.
It's there is a say of like the eyes are the window to the soul or something like that.
The soul, yeah.
So it's for sure portrait. It's the facial expression is like the most expressive part of our body. So I understand that. That's why for me there is a little bit of fixation of portraiture as well. But anyway, I don't want to take too much time of your day. If you want to plug in your Instagram, website, any project that you have right now, please do so people can go and check you out.
Yeah, on Instagram, I am OHENE LORD. And on Facebook, I'm also OHENE Lord, SOHENELORD. And my website is also ohenelord.art. Yeah, ohenelord.art. So that's basically my
Amazing. Thank you very much,
yeah.
Hohen. That was an amazing
Yes, you're welcome.
conversation. I loved
Yeah.
the talking to you, and thank you to be part
Yes.
of the podcast. I
Yeah.
will put all the links in the description so people can go and check your portrait, which please do. They're amazing, and don't forget to
Yeah.
subscribe to the channel. Thank you again, Hohen, for this
Yes,
conversation.
you're welcome. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
Have a
Thank
great
you.
day.
Okay. All right. You too. Thank you.